Hey, what's up, Erin? This is a quick demo video for you for your Lost Soul by Jaws Junkyard. This is installed with a Proffie. It has the brass chassis from Carlos over at the taco shop. I've had this for quite a while, waiting on different parts. First, you had sent me the chassis right away, and then we were waiting on the Saber. I got the Saber. When did I get the Saber? I don't have it written on my board. Probably about a week ago, and then I had to order the switches, which came in yesterday. These take the stock lit switches that you can find at KR Sabers or a few other people in the community that I reached out to because they were out. I bought one set from KR, but I needed three, and I had some people in the community that were willing to sell them to me. So one of those sets showed up yesterday, and I installed this. It is a 2-button setup, so you've got a switch right here. You've got another switch 180 degrees from it. You've got some cutouts here for your crystal chamber, so you got one here and one here. This is made out of all brass and steel. I think this is brass over here, but definitely some steel in here because this is a hefty boy. All right, and then you've got a Carl Chen V4 Neopixel connector, but I'll give you a better look at that when we look at the chassis. So what you want to do, kind of grab it right here and unscrew your handle. All right, so we'll unscrew the handle. Do not drop the handle because the chassis is in it. All right, so we'll pull the handle off like that. You can see your chassis here, but it does come out of the handle, so you just go ahead and pull it out like this. All right, we'll put this over here, and we'll take a look at this chassis from the taco shop. It is very cool. This is a cram food chassis. There's a lot of stuff going on in here, and not a whole lot of room to do it. But it is a very nice chassis once it's all put together and all lit up. So those are those switches I was telling you about right there. If we can focus in on those, you've got two of those that look exactly the same, but each of them have 2 neopixels on either side of the switch. All right, so you got one there, one there. That V4 Carl Chen Neopixel connector I was telling you about, so that's got LEDs on it. You have the provided crystal in here that came with the chassis, so that is it's a resin printed crystal, I believe. That's in there. It lights up. You've got a removable battery right here. Apologize for the wires. There is absolutely no place else to put wires on this chassis, so you won't see them when the battery's in, but you're going to see a few when the battery's out. That could not be helped. All right, you've got a 10 pixel accent strip underneath this lens over here. You've got another 10 pixel strip over here underneath this lens. You've got a kill switch right here. You've got a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker, and then this does have a little spacer that's glued right to the front of the speaker. That keeps it off the inside pommel so that you don't get any vibration from the speaker hitting the actual Saber. All right, flipping it over here, this is your board cover. So there should be no reason to ever take this off unless you want to make some changes to the actual config. If you do, you can push it up from the inside. It's on magnets. Be careful when you take this off. This is thin brass right here, and if you're not careful, it will bend. All right, so it bent a little bit in transit when I first got it, and I spent some time straightening that out. You want to be very careful with that, but it has some very nice detail in it. You can see the various magnets that are in it all throughout. All right, so when you pop that up, this is your board. So again, you're going to see a few wires back here behind the board, something that I couldn't help, but it is covered with the board cover. From here, you have access to your SD card and your micro USB. I purposely have this kind of floating up and not all the way pushed down to the side of the chassis. When I had it initially pushed down and running straight across, it was messing with the board cover a little bit, so I had to push it up towards the middle. And that is basically the negative battery wire and your 2 speaker wires, but I put some heat shrink over there so it just wasn't a huge eyesore. All right, but when you're not making changes, you can just take this guy, put it right on. We'll snap it down in place. It will stay on very nicely for you. Now, I didn't go there. I mean, I had it already, but where you can go get it is Kyberphonic. I went to Kyberphonic's site at one time and got this a long time ago when it first came out. But I got the Dagan Gera sound phone on here. I've got the light side and the dark side. So the light side will have a yellow blade. You'll have some yellow accents. and then the dark side, of course, will be red. If you want me to leave those on there and you don't own them, just show me that you went over to Kyberphonic and you bought them. I'll leave them on there. Or if you want me to take them off, I can take them off for you. But there was no better sound fonts to go with this saber, in my opinion, than the character font from Kyberphonic. All right, and I do believe that K-Sith and then also Blue Mamba all played a role in that sound font. I know for sure they collaborated on the Survivor bundle. I'm not 100% sure on this Dagan Gera font though, so my apologies for that. All right. When you go to put the battery in, you got that leaf spring over here next to your speaker. Now my camera wants to focus on my face, but let's try to focus on the saber. You got that leaf spring over here next to your speaker. That's the negative side of your battery. All right, so we're going to put our battery in there, snap it down into place. It snaps nice and tight. And we'll come over here and we're going to flip our kill switch right here.
There are many worlds that the light of the Jedi does not reach.
So as you can see, we've got our two 10-pixel accent strips going. Got our crystal chamber kind of pulsing right here. And then I did a red and green pulse. So when the red one's not pulsing, the green one's pulsing, and then it goes back. This is basically the cave scene from the Luke Skywalker saber. All right, so we can come over here and hit the green button. That is your power. And I left these alone on both the light side and the dark side. They're going to alternate red and green, but know that the green is your power and the red is your auxiliary. When the saber's on, the green will stay on, and I made the red pulse. All right, your crystal will go solid, and then I made the two accent strips on either side go a little bit faster. It's very loud. All right, and if we wanted to go to the dark side one, we'll just come over here and hit auxiliary.
My name is Dagan Gera.
And everything goes to red. So you've got a red pulsing crystal. And of course your red LED strips on both sides of your chassis. All right, we'll come over here and hit power. And we'll do a twist off. Let's turn this off for a second and talk about putting this in the saber because it is kind of unique. There's no chassis retention on this saber. All right, so the only way that I came up with to clock the saber correctly, because you have to have these two switches right underneath these two plungers. And if you look, I put this in here. It goes all the way in. It's in right now, but this chassis will spin. So you have no idea whether or not those switches are actually underneath the plungers. And this is what I did to alleviate that, or at least help me out. All right. And I'm not sure if it's going to show up on camera, but we'll see if I can show it. We'll see which triangle. On the handle, you have two different triangle greeblies. You've got this one right here, and you've got this one right here. Now, if I focus on this one, if I can, you're not going to notice it very much because I tried to make it as minuscule as I possibly could. But right at the tip of my finger, I put a little ding right there on that greebly. And what that signifies is when this handle is all the way screwed on to the upper part, that little ding that I put in that triangle greebly is in line with one of the switches. All right, because when you take this, we turn it on.
I will not be imprisoned again.
We're going to put this all the way, we're going to put this chassis all the way in the saber. We're going to look at that little ding on the triangle, and we're going to line up one of the switches with it. All right, you're just going to have to do it with one eye. You just got to get a little creative. So I've got that lined up. Now this will not turn very easily in the handle. All right, so now that I've got that little scratch that I made lined up with one of these switches, when I put this handle in and screw it down all the way, my plunger switches should be lined up. All right, so let's try it out. Be very careful with it. You don't want to damage those pins. Take this and screw it all the way down. Looking at that little line that I did, or that little ding that I did right here in line, you can see my switches are blinking, right? The red and the green. You do want to watch out for these switches because they will turn. So you're going to have to like keep them in their place. There's no way to lock those down. All right, but the green is your power. And now those switches are lined up with the plungers. And this thing is pretty loud. Auxiliary is the red one. Alright. You get the shine through on this side of the cutout. You can actually see your crystal chamber. And we'll twist it off. Alright, let's put a blade in this real quick. I believe this is set up for, yeah, it's a 7/8 inch blade, so that's really nice. Let's back up our blade retention. You have one single blade retention. I'll show that to you here as soon as I lock the saber down. Get that all locked down here. Your single blade retention is right up in there. That grub screw right there. All right, so again, if we turn this on, lights up a blade, very nice. For the auxiliary. We'll go to the light side.
Jedi Knight Dagan Gera.
So now you can see you've got a yellow pulsing crystal in there, right? We'll hit power. Now we've got a yellow blade. Auxiliary. And you can see when the saber's on, I made the green stay on, but the red's going to pulse. All right. They each have a sound font, a sound track, and to play that, it's a long press on the power. And another long press to turn it off. We'll go to the other sound font.
My name is Dagan Gera.
We'll play this one too. This is the boss fight. Just like that. All right, so let's go ahead and break this back down. When we're done, we'll just come over here again. We'll take the, we'll loosen up that grub screw for the blade retention. Your blade will come right out. It's a very nice blade socket, so you shouldn't have any problem there. We'll come over here. We'll grab it from here, not the switches, but grab it from up top here and just kind of give it a turn. Take that handle off. When lining up that little nick that I made in the handle with the switches, you want to really crank down on the handle and tighten it as hard as you can. When it's all the way tight, it'll line up. All right, and then when we're done, of course, you get that visual from here. But you will need to pull it out just a hair, or we'll pull it out all the way, to get to your kill switch. When you flip that, it kills power to everything. All right, and then when you're done, you can come over here and take this out. If you don't have a tool, you can come over here and you can take your board cover off, and you can push it from right here, and your battery will pop out like that. All right, and then you can put your board cover back on. That's an easy way to do it, not have to use a tool to pry out the battery. But anyway, that is basically your lost soul from Java's Junkyard, your crystal chassis from Carlos over at the taco shop. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will box this up, and I will try my best to get it out to you tomorrow. We are supposed to have a pretty bad snowstorm tonight. If the roads are super crazy, I'm not going to go out in it, but I will try my best to get this out in the mail to you tomorrow. Thanks, man.